Hello YouTube. Thank you for watching again. You're very patient. Somebody was asking on the Twitters about the penguins behind me. Those ones. They are a tribute to my favourite ever radio show, Round the Horn, which is still being played on Radio 4 Extra, of course. I think the Doomsday Book is still being read out on Radio 4 Extra in the original. Anyway, and the penguins are Dame Celia Molestrangler and ageing juvenile Binky Huckaback. So if I'm in a good mood, then the penguins look quite happy. They're sort of talking, and if I'm in a bad mood, they're going. But yes, if you haven't already heard Round the Horn, then do listen. It is absolutely amazing. And as you know, I am a bit of a fan of the old innuendo, and nobody did that better than Round the Horn. And as our dear Yokel Bear always says, if anybody is going to give you a double meaning, then Lucy is the very person to give you one. So over to the week in Ambridge. This week I have a teleprompter, which is terrifically exciting. I have no idea how it works. I'm going to give it a go now. So this week in Ambridge. This week in Ambridge was brought to you by the Department of Unpleasant Sound Effects. Squelchy roast dinner eating, so bad that at one stage Gavin was eating a roast potato, and it sounded as if he was pulling his welly out of a bog. Grunting in the gym, Kate washing Alice's feet, and Jolene coughing up solids from her bed of pain. Have we done something to upset you, scriptwriters? Are you just getting us warmed up for next week, when the whole village comes down with an isolated outbreak of coronavirus in an attempt to lower the cast bills? We began the week with Josh whinging. Everyone's better than me. Benny's always helping around the farm. Is he? He does it quietly, doesn't he? My business will go under as I haven't got any contacts anymore, he said. Nonsense, of course you have, you idiot. They're all stored in the cloud. Just get a new phone and away you go, you daft sod. And then keep going away and away and away and away until we cannot hear or see you anymore. Apart from, I wouldn't mind Rex seeing Josh again, as he got quite splendidly cross and for the first time in living memory told two archers that he would not be forgiving their disgraceful behaviour on the grounds that they are archers. It came as a huge shock to Pip that Rex was genuinely upset at being involved in a fraud and robbery case. But we're from Brookfield. We've bought barns and a gran and everything. Tough tit, Pip. You haven't impressed Rex, a man who spends every Sunday morning cleaning vomit off the backseat of a Ford Mondeo. And hurrah for him. Over at Krusty's house, the atmosphere was not great. Gav the interloper was behaving like a stroppy adolescent, staying in his room and then monopolising the TV. He kept shouting, "They're coming!" from the sitting room, and then told Kirsty and Philip that he was playing a game. Yeah, Call of Booty, Pokemon, Mineshaft, or Grand Theft Oral. Johnny and Lee's relationship continues apace. They've introduced Freddie into the menage now, but as they all went to the gym together and Freddie got the lever of the stepper caught in his vest, they felt he'd let the side down, so Johnny and Lee went somewhere more private, and Johnny showed him his teat sealant. And if you think I'm going to shout, "Isn't teat sealant brilliant?" then you've got another think coming. Helen had a day out with Lee's daughters, who showed themselves excellent judges of character by loathing her on sight. Helen was gutted, as she'd made a packed lunch of cheese sandwiches and bought them both a book called The Children's Guide to Cheese and Why I'm Right About Everything by Helen Archer. With any luck, Daddy's been teaching them a martial art trick or two. Ooh. And the second they're left on their own with her, they'll have her in a headlock with her face down in the weigh bucket. The Archer's omnibus was then interrupted by a short episode of Dad's Army, featuring Linda, Captain Mannering Snell, and Bert, don't panic, Fry. The Rebel Alliance decided to hijack the highly unlikely cocktail event at the ball. It's amazing, isn't it, how a group of total strangers that no one seems to know, from an organisation no one's heard of, can be tracked down and invited to an event by the landlords of a pub bloody miles away with no advertising at all. I thought they were going to be a load of psychics, as I really couldn't see how anyone else would ever have known the Bat Ambridge was even there. But no, a load of rhubarb sound effects turned up and Bert, Linda and Jazza attempted to bore them to death. Now why on earth include Jazza when he's the only person in the village with whom I would willingly spend an evening in the pub, with the exception of Alistair, on whom I am rapidly developing a crush of monstrous proportions, on and off the Archers, to the extent that I spent an inordinate amount of time last week talking to the actor about his bloody cat. But anyway, I digress. Linda and Lillian had one of their brisk rows in which they both say everything in a staccato way through clenched teeth, and Lillian ended up saying, "Nobody wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater, darling," and I instantly thought, what a better name that would have been, the baby in bathwater. Anyway, They all turned out to be allotmenteers, so had a lovely time listening to Bert boring on about leaks, and the consequences were hilarious. Talking of the Bat Ambridge name change, Susan is a scab for refusing to sign the petition against the Bat Ambridge name change until Neil, the people's champion, changed her mind for her. That and the prospect of a bucket load of chilli in the offing. He promised to wear his scuba outfit and let her have a blow on his snorkel, so she did a quick volte-face and signed. Poor old Neil was not having a good day. He'd left work early because Hannah was getting on his nerves. Neil, I used to work in an office where the managing director and his PA used to call each other mum and dad. You can't leave work just because people are getting on your nerves. If everyone did it, the economy would collapse. Over at the Bull, Jill and Neil sat in the entirely empty pub and reminisced about Phil. He could see you had it in you, Neil, said Jill, and that was why you were walking funny. Said Neil. Upstairs, Jolene had come down with something. She was under the duvet with a fisherman's friend, and she'd got Vic all over her chest. Kenton got her to promise she wasn't cross with him for backing over a peacock, and she needed reassurance from him that they weren't about to go completely bankrupt after taking the advice of a consultant who'd spent 20 minutes considering their business. Just normal couple stuff, really. Over at the stables, Kate announced she was moving in with the luckless Yakult. She seemed very concerned about his emissions. I don't know why, just get him to change the sheets more often. And complained to him while he was fixing Bouncer's leg. Bouncer is a stupid name for a horse. It is a stupid name for anything except the Labrador of Neighbours or a trampoline. And talking about things you bounce about on with nary a care in the world, Kate appears to be in pig again. For someone who cares about the environment, you'd think she'd care about overpopulation and maybe invest in some contraception. Or maybe it was a vegan condom made of hemp with lots of holes in so the sperm could, breathe, as otherwise it's just like exploitation. Anyway, I don't believe she's up the clanger. I cannot imagine she's got a clear grip on when her last period was, or where or who her last child is, to be frank. And Yakult, in my view, is going to be out of there faster than Philip Schofield out of the broom cupboard. Apparently, all you need to do to solve a huge family rift is to take the person for a walk alongside a polluted river. Give him some stats about floodwater levels, and bingo, everything's marvellous, and everyone is putting bets on you shagging him. Now Jeremy Kyle's gone, Krusty's apparently the new fix a family problem in 20 minutes expert. There was, however, some alarm-raising chat about Philip having been previously in dire financial straits, which is annoying, as it probably means I owe my co-host Royfield a tenner, as we had a bet on it. And the week's most irritating discussion. I've saved the best to last. Helen, of course. Helen was urging Lee to push the boat out for Valentine's Day. Even Helen's time in prison has not taught her how real people live. Lee is skint. He makes a living kicking people in the nuts and has to keep his daughters in white trainers and lactose intolerance medication. Helen suddenly had a spasm of understanding, but the furthest she got was, "Oh, we'll eat at yours then, Lee. It'll be fine. I'm happy with anything. Lobster, pâté foie gras, just any old stuff you've got in the cupboard." Helen, you know you claim to be a feminist, that your mum was at Greenham Common and hasn't shaved under her arm since Tracy Horrobin was a virgin. There's this thing, and I know stuff takes a while to get to Ambridge, but now apparently restaurants take women's credit cards. I mean, you can't use a pin like a man, obviously. You have to draw a picture of a flower before they'll accept it. But apparently it's allowed, and men don't mind that much. I'm going to try it. See you in the 21st century, Helen, and watch your crinoline in that yoghurt machine. The end. Thank you very much for listening, chaps, again. I'm going to sit by the fire for the rest of the evening as Storm Kira is roaring around outside. One of my trees has come down. I'm going to have to go and sort that out tomorrow. So me and Basil are going to sit here by the fire with Dame Celia Molestrangler and ageing juvenile Binky Huckapack. Have a lovely week and see you next time.